friends. Tezos, hey? How good has that been? And in fact, some of the comments I've got from some of you over the weekend on Twitter and on YouTube itself and all the rest of it have been superb. So thank you so much for all of that. Really do appreciate it. That's just wonderful. And if I just look round past my camera, sorry, excuse me, I need to get rid of some of these brush marks. Yeah. So so this has been great trading this stuff, hasn't it? Looking at this here, you can see the 618 golden pocket zone up here at that 33k area again. 33k, something we've spoken about numerous times in the past, has come in and put in an area where we found a high, and then subsequently the prices have dropped back down that 11% down towards that. Price is down there at the 2,931 area, where the 382 is on that thing. Coming down here and retesting this zone that we were at before, which is obviously an inflection point in the market where we saw the Adam and Eve play out towards the downside. This is, of course, versus the Bitcoin prices. Just let me bring back up that menu, actually, so I can go between them easier. Sorry about that. I know it takes up a lot of real estate. Let me know in the comments down below if you prefer I kept it gone. I think I probably would. Maybe I'll start doing that. Who knows? Yeah. And looking toward, anyway, as you can see, I'm just kind of tuning in here and kind of taking a look at this for the first time today, which is great. And we've got this big old doji and the candle on the go, kind of signaling to all of us that, of course, this could go either way at the minute. But how do we feel about it overall? I think that we feel quite positive about this thing, you know. And we managed to stay above the previous highs there at the 29k area. We're going towards the top side. There's room to keep going up in terms of avoiding the divergence. Just if we look at this from a sort of this most recent period here, this sort of looking at this chunk, you know, down the way, then you can say, then sure, you know, we've come in here and all we've really done, like if you look at the MACD and stuff, is put in a low, then put in, you know, we've not really even put in two little highs to compare here or whatever in that sense. So we're kind of definitely not divergent there. But what do you have then in terms of just kind of looking at the broader picture? So as we need to remain aware of a broader picture. Well, we had this line in before and it served us well in the past, didn't it? That one line there, that magic wand. Maybe we need to reuse this magic wand to just kind of give us a couple of reminders real quick about what we're looking at in terms of where we've been and everything else over the last wee while. If I just kind of stick that in, touching that wick down there and touching that body there, have we got any price action coming in and touching it there? Not quite, and also not quite here. So, you know, this here happened, right? Just a reminder to folk that it did happen, and that if we draw up towards the top side, you can see that it did happen over here as well, and that does give us a sort of idea of where would be kind of key in terms of this movement up the way, because we have been going towards the top side, and where does it all line up with overall? Well, if we come up towards this, if we're coming up in this zone over the period of the next week or two and we still haven't moved past it, then you're going to consider that to be the sort of the 618 of this downward movement here from the highs over on the 25th of April down towards the lows that we put in there just before moving towards the top side. We'll just maybe line that up a bit better. I don't know how, if that's lined up properly or not. Oh, God. Right, so that would be what that 618 is, and moving past there would be quite good. You know, we can look towards the 786 and stuff like that thereafter. You know, with these big 10% movements towards the top side, eventually it starts to become, you know, like that we've got these previous targets to look to, which are like big movements away from where we are now. So all of that would be very, very positive, and it's kind of, this is the hurdle that we're trying to overcome on the way. Does this remind you of anything in terms of the chat about what would be overcoming on the way before a big movement towards the top side? I wonder, I'm going to give you a second to think about any other crypto chart that you've looked at which has got any resemblance in terms of this thing at all in any way whatsoever. Now, I know what you're maybe thinking. You're maybe thinking Link, because I made this comparison recently in terms of stuff, but Link's not the answer that I was looking for, ladies and gentlemen. Was I on this one? Yeah, that's not the answer I was looking for. Let me just show you something here in terms of charts. Now, of course, you probably do look at things like this yourself, but if I just go right the way back, now people like to talk about fractals all the time. I don't like to talk about fractals all the time like the rest of the world seems to. But I just wanted to show you, like, when you put a big high in there and a big low there, and you come up and you put a big high in here and then another big low in there, and then you move towards the top side, some things stand in your way as being a sort of barrier in terms of the psychology, in terms of the market and whatever else. And a good example of that is right here, looking at the Bitcoin prices, where we knew that the 10,000 buck area was a toughie. So if we then look over to the right, and when we move past that, what did we see happen? Well, a nice solid rise up. Now, of course, we know that things could turn around on this. We always do. We always bear that in mind. We also know this could be a half-staff thing. It could rise on up towards the top side. We know that as well. We've got all of our targets laid out. If you want to check that out, check out the Bitcoin video. Really good video. Really is. Just like if you think these are good. If you think these are good. But what does that translate that message? I wonder if it does. I'm not doing a fractal thing. I'm not saying this is like that. I'm making the point simply that when you're looking at these broad time frames like the 24-hour time frame, how important it is when you go past previous high sections like this one over here, and where this could kind of go up towards what you could be looking at if we were to move past things. And if you consider this maybe to be like the for instance, just like this section in terms of Bitcoin, in terms of the psychology, looking at it from July 2019 with this downward sort of area here where we move up towards this point and then kind of break on past a little bit, and that would be great for everybody's pockets is out there, regardless of what the sort of future time frames are, because we do need to remember that bear in mind that we're traders and we're not necessarily just investors. Of course, you're able to keep a chunk of your position forever, and capitalize on that in whatever way you want to and whatever else. And I'm not a financial advisor, none of this financial advice, of course, but just thinking about things like moving past these areas of resistance would be decent for us. If we saw that happen, what could we look to? Well, we could look up to 40k, for instance, so which would be a hella rise up again. And you'd think about the FOMO train at that point, and if there was some sort of alt season, if you were looking at a a rise up of say 20 odd percent, people will be very enthusiastic about that, right? A rise up of nearly 30%, maybe. So that's good, if that were to happen. Let's look at the dollar prices. This is taking too long. I meant to make it shorter because it's hard to upload these things here with the internet speed being so rubbish. So maybe I'll have to keep this quite brief. Okay, I hope that's okay with everybody. If you know me, though, it probably won't happen. What are we doing here? Is this going to be potentially divergent compared to this high over here? When I make that point, needs to be made. Sugar. More haste, less paste, as I say. The phrase is more haste, less pace. More haste, less paste. Looking at that high, is it going to be divergent or not? Is it going to be? The Stochastics says no. The RSI says yes. DMI says yes, and the MACD says yes. As things stand, if we saw a pullback, then what we'll be looking at there in terms of dollar prices and whatnot. Let's look up here and say that first off, if we see the prices drop below 360 and actually manage to close out some decent time frames, just revisit and say the 4-hour time frame here, as you can see that so far we've managed to stay above that 360 quite nicely over here. But if we go down there and start closing the 4 hours down there again, then maybe we have got a little bit of a movement downward to be considerate about. We've talked about we talked about all of this. I got a really great tweet from people talking about the when we went up towards that 351 target and stuff. Really great stuff. Really great positivity and feedback, by the way. Thank you so much for all that, for all of you people that did that recently. I really do appreciate it. It means so much. It means more than, like I said, at the time, the 20 pence I'll get for making this episode from YouTube. Cheers, YouTube, though. I mean, it's appreciated, but it's not what I do this for. 236 coming in there at 360. So if we did move down below that, we could look down towards 340, 326 and $3.07 up towards that 315 area. I know that would be awfully scary and shocking. I don't think these are just these little VBOP guys are stuck on for the crack. Don't want them on there. They're just a waste of time. But I do want to see the moving averages, though. And I'm hiding them at the minute or what? Yeah, let's stick these on. I do want to see the moving averages beside the sea. If we see this, okay, so we're outside this channel that we spoke about. I drew this. Did I drew this in yesterday or before? No, I don't know. We came up here. We touched off that area. We had that pullback that we kind of I talked about anticipating. I don't know. And since then, we can see that the curious areas for us to remain aware of will have to be in at the middle line of this channel at that 350s area. Okay, the actual top side of the channel itself, as well at the 360s area, like we're talking about with this 236 moving average or Fibonacci retracement as well. And of course, that's where the 21 EMA comes in. Is this 382 target at 340. So all of those could easily operate us in terms of being support for us in terms of this upward movement, which hasn't been divergent on the 4-hour time frame. Looking between this last wee chunk here and looking back over to the previous areas over here also seems to have not been divergent. It's doing healthy stuff, good stuff. That's all good stuff. Excellent. So yeah, so everything's looking good in the 4-hour time frame but I've got these two areas here drawn in. This was to do, what did I do? Did I just do this there now? Did I have a brain fart to do this before? I'm looking at that and thinking, if this does drop down, then you'd be looking at this on the 24-hour time frame and asking questions about how this performs in around this orange line here at the 330s area, because movements down below and above this again would obviously signal in a head and shoulders type area for us. And we've already lived through the drama of this Adam and Eve that was here before moving on up towards the top sides. We don't want to live through that all over again, and I'd be aware of that at 330 if there were to be prices moving towards the downside as well, and inflecting around this zone so you don't tune in again for a while. All this stuff on here, which was so excellent, this ascending triangle, these triangles. Anyway, we've done a great job. I would kind of maybe I need to get back into the zone again in terms of making these episodes after taking the weekend off. I'm not sure. I feel like this has probably been a good one and there's value in it for people. I really never really know. That's the truth of it, It's hard to know. Which is why whenever people leave those comments saying that it was good value, it makes me feel great, because like I say, it's hard to know. It's not like I walk away from these things thinking, oh yeah, hit another home run there. I joke about it from time to time, but it's not how I think about things. I wonder if we'll come in here and ask a question with this DMI potentially. It's the one that's showing us there's divergence. RSI as well in the 24-hour time frame. So yeah, so in the 24-hour time frame we have a bit of that. In the 4-hour time frame we don't. Kind of looking at these zones and asking, will the prices manage to stay above them? If they do, then things are rosy and Jim. Let's just do a couple of profit taking targets towards the top side again, just for the crack, using Fibonacci retracement and looking at these upward side targets, because I know people are going to be interested, right? 472, $5.13, and $5.70 could be those link style breakout targets that we could be looking to. Pardon me. And that wouldn't be that crazy. If we actually look on up the way then and think, what could be those really, those, when I say link style, let me just show you link. If I got them on here, was it Link that I was looking at? No, it wasn't. It was Band from earlier on. Do you remember I was looking at Band in the Link episode, which I haven't published quite yet, which you might not have watched or whatever yet. Sorry, so do you remember that? But yeah, on Band, look, we've come up to all these targets. So if we saw a Band style breakout, now that's what you want to see, then we could be looking up to, even as high as all of these. So what would that be? What would that be? People want to see this chat. This is fun. People want to see it. I know it's fun. I know it's not trading exactly or whatever. I know it's not, but what would it be? Whee! Versus the dollar prices. Okay, going up, $13.12. So I suppose if you're having a debate at the old crypto pub over the next wee while, and someone says, "Oi, XTZ ain't ever going to do nothing good," or whatever, what coin, none of these cryptos do anything good, and that you could say, well, it can happen. We saw it happen with Band recently, but then Boom Bada, the guy that's been putting the comments in recently that's so negative about Tezos, would probably have quite a lot to say about that. So shout out to you, Boom Bada. It's been hilarious reading his comments, which are massively trolling. By the way, I don't want to encourage anybody to be a troll, because it's not funny, but it would be funny. But Boom Bada's been chatting about how Link is rubbish, but he thinks that Dash is great and everything. It's kind of funny. It's just funny. He watches the not Link, Tezos. Been watching the Tezos videos. Obviously, of course, he is a Tezos fan. He just has a reverse psychology approach to talking about things, and it's therefore very funny. But I wouldn't encourage anybody else to try and replicate his humor, because it wouldn't necessarily work. Anyhow, that's been funny. I'll catch y'all later, y'all. I think I'll tune out now. This episode's gone on for too long, hasn't it? It's all gone on for too long today. I haven't looked at it versus Ethereum. Oh, still doing what we wanted to see it doing. Came up to our area here, moved up above the 21 EMA, retested 21 EMA for support, found a little bit of resistance into the next area, just shy of that 100k or whatever it is price. Wow, everything's been going along swimmingly. So let's just hope that continues then, shall we? And we get this to turn around, of course, from the big old time frames. It'll take a while to undo the effects of this sort of downward price action. Of course it will. It would be a while before we see something, a chart that looks like the dollar one, because Ethereum's own price action has been so good. But like I said with the Bitcoin video, was it link or this one I said it in? Check out check these other videos out if you want to see what could be going on with those ones and where we could be looking to. That channel's probably quite likely, by the way. Okay, thanks very much. Catch you next time. I've been Rocky Outcrop. Share with your friends. See ya.
David,
Yeah.
you mean to say you've made it?